merry meet. I'm so happy that you've joined me today. We are on our live stream and we are going to have a little talk today. We're going to be talking about kindness as medicine. Kindness as medicine. So let's think about medicine first. Let's think about what that is. Now, medicine in the modern world usually means some sort of a substance that is ingested in some way or another, whether it's swallowed or injected or applied, that will combat some form of dis-ease, some sort of problem. And most man-made medicines have side effects and things like that, and I'm not downing it. I think it's wonderful what modern medicine has available for us. But let's look back a little bit in time to what medicine was prior to the modern medicine. So in all of the ancient pagan religions, and it's very prevalent in understanding of the Native American Indian practices, medicine was, yes, sometimes herbal, sometimes it was substances, but oftentimes medicine was an idea or a practice or a way of living, a way of being. And what medicine in that respect does is it heals, it corrects, it takes disease and it transforms it into health. It takes problems and transforms those problems into solution. So kindness is a type of universal medicine. They call it a panacea. A panacea is something that works for every problem. It's one medicine that has all problems taken care of. So kindness as medicine is what we would call a panacea. So that means that where you're experiencing an issue, where you're experiencing a problem, you could say that kindness is lacking. Kindness is lacking wherever you're experiencing a problem. Now, we could say it's love that's lacking, but love can't be really lacking in any situation because love is the substance out of which all life is created. So love can't be lacking, but kindness can be lacking. Kindness can be lacking, meaning that the expression of love can be lacking. You can believe that you have no love in a situation. And that's what a lack of kindness really is. So if you look at in terms of something very practical, say you don't have enough money, maybe you don't have a job, maybe you're looking for a job, you could say, well, how does kindness have anything to do with that? Well, I don't know. We'll have to see. But let's look and see in your life and see where the kindness is lacking. What are your ways of interacting with your fellow human beings? Possibly one of the reasons why you don't have a job is because of your personality. You don't get a job because of your resume. You don't. You get in the door because of your resume. You get somebody you get the interview because of your resume maybe, but they don't usually hire you because of your qualifications. They hire you because they like you. They hire you because you are somebody they can work with. So in that regard, just having a habit of kindness is a means by which you're more employable just because of your attitude, right? Let's look in terms of health, just real quickly. Like say you have a disease of some sort. Maybe it's a really bad disease. Maybe it's a serious disease. So what is your response to that disease? Usually when people have a bad diagnosis, the first response is not usually kindness. Usually the first response is fear. Usually they blame themselves for something, which is unconscionable, to blame yourself because you got a disease, but that happens all the time. Usually it's all about finding what to do in the physical to combat the disease. So what are the treatments that I need to get ready for? What kind of living situation? Do I have to quit my job? Do I have to get on disability? All of those kinds of things, which you have to do. Absolutely, you have to do. But if that's the place that you're starting from, then you have no home base. You have no home base for how to outreach and actually have some sort of healing occur, because you're just spinning your wheels. Everything is outside of you that is going to be a treatment for you. Your doctor's outside of you, the nurses are outside of you, the treatment center is outside of you. All of the things that you're doing are away from your point of your central point of power. So now what is being called for in that situation is kindness as medicine. And so then what you do is you take every single moment, situation, moment by moment, as it's presented to you, and you ask yourself, what's the kindest response here? What's the kindest response to myself? What's the kindest response to whoever I'm dealing with, to the doctor, to the nurse, to the this, to the that, right? And then you're coming from a place of power. Now, that's not saying, okay, now I don't need to do my chemotherapy or whatever you have to do. It's that you're doing those things from a place of power because you have found where your power lives, and your power lives in that choice to be kind, to ask for the kindness to be revealed to you, and then to participate in it. That is your power point. And then you will easily be led to the right places to get the healing that is necessary for you, because you're coming from power. So you're listening to wisdom because you're finding your home base, and you are moving out from there, rather than feeling like you have no power, you have no basis, and you're just running from thing to thing to thing outside of yourself, trying to put out little fires, right? So there's that. Let's look at another example. Maybe you have a problem in your marriage. Maybe you guys are fighting a lot. Maybe you're looking at separating, something like that. Okay, so again, I'm not saying you can't separate or you shouldn't separate or that the fights are unjustified. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is you take it one situation at a time as it occurs in the moment, and ask yourself, what is the kindest response that is available in this situation? What is the kindest response I'm capable of in this situation? And ask yourself that, ask to be led, and move forward from there. Now you're coming from a place of power. So if you do decide to end the marriage or something like that, it's not out of reaction, it's because it's the kindest response. Right? So say somebody is say you got a real abusive situation in your life. Maybe somebody's just really tormenting you. Instead of running around like a chicken with your head cut off first, going to the police and getting the restraining order and this and that and all those other things that you may end up having to do anyway, instead of that being your point of origin, you stop in the moment as the situation is presented to you. You ask yourself, what is the kindest response in this moment? And you follow that prompting. All right. So sometimes the kindest response is no contact. I'm done with this person. I will not be contacting you anymore. Sometimes the response is no. Boundaries. Sometimes the kindest response is forgiveness. Sometimes the kindest response is let's go have lunch and talk this through. You don't know what it is until you ask. But again, it's not so much that you're going to be changing your behavior. It's not so much that you're not going to get that restraining order or whatever, but you're doing it out of kindness rather than reacting out of anger or fear. So you're coming from a place of power, and you have something that is actually creating a healing, that is kindness as medicine. The other one, just getting the restraining order or just, lashing out at them, there's no medicine there. There's no good medicine there. There's maybe bad medicine, but there's no good medicine. There's nothing that's going to heal that. But kindness as medicine. Kindness as a medicine is very different. Kindness is the expression of love. Kindness is the expression of love. So it's not enough to say love will heal this situation. Well, of course, love is the healer. Love has already healed this situation. If you want to get serious about it, you go through the psalmic magic, you realize that all your problems are already solved. It's not so much that God needs to do something, because God did it already. What needs to happen is we need to catch up to where the truth is, rather than playing around in illusion. Now, how do we speed that up? How do we find where love exists? Well, we have to find where love exists by vibrating to the same, to our best ability. We have to vibrate to the same vibrations as the love which is already in existence. So it's like tuning our radio dial to a station that's already broadcasting. You know that about radio waves, right? They're already there. It's not like you have to attract the radio waves. You just have to tune your dial to the radio waves so that you're listening to that broadcast rather than a different station. So in order to tune our radio to the broadcast that we want, which is love, which is divine love, perfect love, which has all power to heal and correct, we have to find the dial, which is the kindness. We have to tune to kindness. And we can't decide for ourselves what's the kindest response, because we don't know. That's the true magic right there, is you don't know. You think you do, but you don't. You might have an inkling and you might be right, but you might be wrong. So the only way to know is to ask. The only way to ask is to claim. Right? So you can ask a question. You can say, God, please show me. God, will you please show me the kindest response here? But the more powerful way of doing that is the kindest response is now revealed to me. The kindest response to this situation is now revealed to me. I now act in the kindest way possible in this situation. I invoke the divine medicine of kindness into this situation, and I respond the way kindness dictates rather than the way I would dictate. Because if you already knew how to do this, you would be doing it. If you already knew how to engage kindness as medicine, don't you think you'd be doing it? Rather than suffering, don't you think you'd already be taking the pill, taking this medicine, and giving it to all your friends, right? If you knew that this was going to create an opening so that the divine design of your life manifests more clearly, and so that your problems are solved and that you're living on a higher level, wouldn't you be doing it already? Of course you would. So don't think you know how to do this or you'd already be doing it. So instead, we want to ask. We want to get to the point where we are happy to admit that we don't know, and that there is a power within us. There's an intelligence that is connected to us that does know, and we are contacting that power, and we are doing that through claiming our good, through that divine medicine of kindness. The kindest response. What is the kindest response? Please show me the kindest response. Now, it's fine and dandy and easy to do this when everything's going your way. That's so much fun, isn't it? I'm going to be kind today. I'm just going to be the kindest person. It's so, I love you and have a great day and mwah, 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 right? That's easy. Anybody can do that. However, if you're in the midst of ready to wring somebody's neck, that's when the adept has to show up. That's when the adept shows up. And in order to be an adept, it doesn't mean that you have all the answers. It means that you recognize that you don't know the answer, and that you are willing to be shown and corrected. You're willing to admit that you're wrong, and that you're wanting to do it the right way. That's when the magic starts. And it's tough for a lot of us, right? It's tough to do the most loving response when we don't want to. We want to kick their ass. We want to do things that are retaliatory rather than, or defensive, right? Which are basically the same action. They're both the same thing. Rather than say, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And what if I am wrong? Well, then if I'm wrong, then I want to know, I want to be right. Show me how to be right according to God's will rather than my ego's will. What's the kindest response in this circumstance? Even though I don't at the moment really want to know. I want to know. That's powerful. I don't want anything good for this person. I'm very angry at this person. But I don't care what the kindest response is. I'm admitting this, but I want to know what the kindest response is. Do you see the difference? Because you don't want to know necessarily. You don't necessarily want to know if you really want to wring their necks or if you're really upset with them. But you can get back one more step and get into the truth. I want to know that I want to know. I want to know. I am willing to be willing to be kind to this person. Do you get the difference? Saying I'm willing to be kind to this person is not always the truth, and that's not going to yield you any results. If you can be more honest than that and say, I don't want anything good for this person, but I'm willing to want something good for this person, that's power. That's huge power. That's the medicine right there. That's the medicine. When you find out that you're wrong about how bad your life is, about how bad the world is, and about how bad that person is, and about how bad whatever else is that you've decided is so bad, when you find out that you're wrong, it's such a relief. So you get to the point where you're saying, okay, I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling this. I don't like any of this. I'm so glad that I know I'm wrong. And I really want to be shown how wrong I am in this situation. I want to be wrong about this. All right? And just that opening is enough for you to be able to be shown the kindest response that you're capable of in that moment. And just that little opening and that little teeny tiny glimmer of willingness to do the kindest thing rather than the wrong thing, the bad thing, the thing that shuts the door on kindness so that you can go back and play in darkness more and more and more. That little willingness is all it takes. It's like being a little bit pregnant. It doesn't matter how much, you know? You can't undo massive darkness with more darkness, but you can undo massive darkness with just the tiniest glimmer of light. Because where that tiny glimmer of light is, the entirety of all light exists within there. So if that's all that you're capable of opening up in your mind, that's fine. The universe will take care of the rest for you on your behalf. And that's why kindness is such an important topic. And a lot of times people think that they're kind because they're playing lip service to kindness. They're doing things that the world has shown them is kind. I'm doing kind things. I'm smiling. I'm telling them to have a nice day. You know, and of course those things are nice. You should do those things. But that's not what we're talking about. Because you can smile at people with your lips and squint at them with your heart. I stole that line from Jane Wagner. But you can smile at people with your lips and squint at them with your heart. That's not kindness. Kindness is getting to the point where no matter who they are or what they've done, you can genuinely want for them to be happy, joyous, and free. Because if you're not willing for them to be happy, joyous, and free, then you are telling yourself that you're unwilling for yourself to be happy, joyous, and free. And you are willing to delay your happiness and your joy and your freedom as long as it takes for them to not have some either. Because you can't have it both ways. It's impossible. You can't have it both ways. You can't decide that you're going to withhold your love and kindness of somebody and still have some for yourself, because it's a package deal on the other side of it too. If you're willing to withhold it from anybody, then you're withholding it from yourself until you decide again. That's just how it works. I didn't make the rules. That's just how cause and effect works. And it's never not worked that way, and it's never going to stop working that way. And that's why we say that the angels can't come in and fix things for you without your permission, right? Spirit can't come in and fix things for you without your permission. You have to want it. You have to ask for it. You have to want it just a little bit. But that means that it's their way, not your way. Remind yourself that often, that God's way works and yours doesn't. Right? God's way is always right. Your way rarely is. Unless you've been listening to God, then it's not your way. It's God's way, right? Because it is ultimately your way. But your way as a separate self, your way as an ego, is the way that you really think who you are. You think you are this little separate entity, right? This separate little afraid entity that needs to protect themselves and defend themselves and to make their way in the world. And it's a scary world, right? But that's what life is like when you don't take your medicine. If you can get back into taking the medicine on a regular basis of kindness and asking what kindness looks like in this situation, asking what kindness feels like in this situation, what is the kind behavior in the situation, what is kind words in the situation, right? You'll be surprised sometimes what's kindness. And it's right because you feel it. You're guided. There's no question about it. Cut off contact from this person and do not speak to them again. That's the kindest response. Are you sure? Yes. Okay. It doesn't happen all that often, but yeah, sometimes that's the kindest response. Sometimes telling somebody, no, I cannot give you that money. That's the kindest response. Sometimes telling somebody, no, I will not bail you out of jail. You need to stay in there overnight, is the kindest response. Sometimes, not paying for somebody's rehab is the kindest response, especially since they seem to depend on you to do that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of kindness that to the naked eye, according to how the world defines kindness, is not what we thought it was going to be. But the energy behind it is pure love, because it's like either God knows what God's doing or God doesn't know what God's doing. So if you think God's an idiot, then don't bother with any of this stuff. Do your own thing and just hope for the best. But if there is a power that is the creator of the universe, it's probably smarter than you, and it probably knows what to do more than you do. So if that's true, maybe that power's understanding of what kindness is more all-encompassing and actually works. Make sense? So give that a shot for the week. Maybe see what you can do to increase your kindness quota or quotient for the week, right? Especially when you're not feeling good, especially when you're annoyed, upset, any of those things, especially during those times, say, okay, what is the kindest response in this situation right now? Right now, what is the kindest response? Show me, please, what the kindest response is. And it'll be shown to you. And then you can take your little kindness pill and do it. And you can watch that situation clear up right before your eyes. All right. Well, this has been great. I'm so happy to have you on the stream. And I love talking to you. And I can't wait to work with you again. And until that time, blessed be.